Hello everybody, this is Crispy99 here, and just doing a quick, I would say maybe first impressions, almost like a review of what to expect when playing Dune Awakening here. As you guys can see, I have a bit of some of the gameplay here live as I'm recording this. I just want to give you guys a quick rundown of what this game is like. The best way I can describe it is essentially a nice survival. It's essentially a survival MMO. In this case, there is a lot of PvE aspects, I should say, like player versus environment areas. And the one thing I truly do like about this game that kind of stands out from all the others is the concept of having to force yourself into combat in order to get more resources. And let me explain a little bit. If you play any sort of survival game, something anywhere between Minecraft or any sort of zombie survival, there is a point where fighting enemies do not constitute the reward that it takes to engage them, right? In many of these survival games, you try to work your way around the obstacle of a zombie or an enemy in that regard, just because the amount of time and effort and the risk that it is, especially if you're playing on something like a hardcore server, does not, does not essentially equate the reward that you get out of it. However, in Dune Awakening, I think this changes a little bit, or changes dramatically, because of the water system here. The water system here in Dune Awakening is not only there to keep you alive due to the overall sand I should say not sand, what am I saying, the overall desert component where you need to stay hydrated in that regard, but the water is also used to help you continue to advance any technologies that you have. So one of the key components in getting water is actually extracting it from blood of your enemies and essentially processing it into a component like this, where you can essentially purify the blood, have reserves of water, and use that not only here to hydrate yourself, but also be used in processing materials such as iron, which does require water, as you guys can see here, and essentially force you into combat on top of the other resources that are essentially mandatory in advancing yourself. And I think that in of itself, forcing the combat into the resource loop does make it for a much more interesting aspect. The other thing too is that it's not very easy to just go out and kill the enemies themselves. This is still like maybe 15 hours into the game and still fairly early on for me. But as far as it goes, there were points where, regardless of weapons or anything like that, if I'm by myself attacking a group of enemies, there is a good chance that I can get into a really bad situation if I do not know how to manage fighting multiple enemies at once. So I think in that regard, making the combat and the environment harsher so that the people have to learn how to adapt and be mindful and move strategically through makes this game so much more fun for me right now. I'm like 15 hours deep collecting resources, and I haven't really moved too much from the spot where I've been after I left the beginning area. So I'm going to take you for a quick example here. For example, I'm going to head out and go kill these guys real quick and show you like the core gameplay loop that kind of makes this one stick out. So the enemies can still kill me, and if I'm not managing, especially with the two types here, we've got a melee and a range type of enemy here, they can actually do quite a bit of damage if I'm not careful for it. I will admit that a lot of the core combat loop is a little bit rudimentary or slow at times, as some people might complain, but I think overall it's if you're not looking for something so complex, this is definitely something that you can probably ignore. So for example, I'm collecting loot from this person, but I'm also able to extract a little bit of blood out of them, and I can use that, just hop right back up here, to essentially process it into water, which I can drink, or in case if I really am struggling out in the desert, I can drink the blood directly, but process it over here. And then in doing so, it turns into a resource that I can actually use not only for myself in the hydration cycle, but also to be able to advance myself in like creating an iron ingot. And so that's why I think like right now, Dune Awakening has like the right balance, especially if you're looking for a nice PvE MMO to play with. From what I understand, I haven't gotten to endgame, that there's a lot of PvP controversy about it, whether, you know, being it too difficult or being anything like that. But as of right now, in the early stages, playing through the PvE elements that help you in the harsh environment, that push you through the harsh environment, really makes it a more compelling way for people to essentially work together in guilds or groups and go through it together. So that's just my initial thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think about the game, if you guys are playing it, if you guys are addicted to it, if you think that there's better gameplay loops that have better representation of that. Let me know in the comments down below. That's it. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, and maybe catch me live both on Twitch and YouTube at RealCrispy99. That's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.